I had dreamed of this night for months. It was our 3rd anniversary. The date was circled on my calendar in red ink, a beacon of hope in a long year. I wanted a baby more than anything. I imagined a small nursery painted pale yellow, a crib by the window, tiny shoes lined up in a row. This night felt like the beginning of that dream. I bought new lingerie, something delicate and black, made of lace that felt like a whisper against my skin. I set the mood in our bedroom with soft lighting, the scent of vanilla candles. I was full of a fragile, shimmering hope. I believed this was our moment, the turning point where our future would finally begin to unfold. Then I saw the text. It was not for me. My husband's phone buzzed on the nightstand, a small, innocent sound that shattered my world. I picked it up, thinking it was a message from his mother. It was for his secretary, Candace. The photo was private, intimate, a picture of my husband that no one but me should have ever seen. My heart didn't just fall, it plummeted into a cold, dark abyss. The warmth from the candles vanished. The room felt cold and vast, like a tomb. The beautiful lingerie suddenly felt like a costume for a fool, a pathetic attempt to win a game I didn't even know I was playing. I walked into the living room, my feet heavy, the phone clutched in my hand like a weapon. I showed him the message. He did not seem shocked. He didn't even have the decency to look guilty. He just looked annoyed, like I had interrupted his favorite television show. He smiled a small, tight smile that didn't reach his eyes. He said it was a mistake. He spun a quick, slick story. He sounded so calm, so practiced. A part of me, the desperate, hopeful part, wanted to believe him. So I stayed. I could not sleep that night. I lay beside him in the dark, feeling the chasm that had opened between us. Every time he breathed, I flinched. The hope I had nurtured for so long had curdled into something sour and ugly. I felt empty, hollowed out, a shell of the woman I was just hours before. My friend Joyce, my lifeline, booked a hotel room for me without asking any questions. I needed to escape the suffocating silence of our home. We slept together. It was a blur of shadows and shared grief, a desperate act of self-destruction. I didn't know his name. I didn't want to. He was a stranger, a faceless body to absorb my pain. In the morning, the harsh light of day brought with it a crushing reality. I saw who he was. He was Damon Park. He was Evan's uncle. I froze, the air leaving my lungs. Shame burned inside me. I had tangled myself in their family. Damon didn't react with anger. He touched my arm gently. He seemed gentle, feverish, his voice low and raspy. He said he didn't remember the night clearly. He was giving me an out. He called his assistant and told him to delete the hotel surveillance footage. He said he would not let anyone hurt me. He was protecting our shared secret. For days, I held 2 secrets, heavy in my gut. Which hurt more? Evan's betrayal, my own mistake. One was a wound done to me. The other was a wound I had done to myself. Both left me dirty, lost, utterly alone. I walked through my days like a ghost, home a stranger's house of landmines. Then the truth hit me like a fist. Candace was pregnant. It was not an accident. It was a choice they made together. Evan had a child on the way with his secretary. He told me this, his face a mask of false sincerity, and then he dared to tell me to stay. He said he would leave Candace for me if I promised to forgive him. He offered her $300,000 to have an abortion, like a business transaction. When Candace refused the money, a switch flipped in Evan. The charming man vanished, replaced by someone cold and cruel. He lost his temper. He threatened her over the phone while I stood listening, my blood running cold. He said things that made me physically sick, things about ruining her life, about making sure she would have nothing. Then he turned that darkness on me. He put his hands on my shoulders, his grip tight and bruising, and said he would kill any man who ever touched me. You're mine. You're mine. You're mine. He did not say, I love you. It wasn't about love. It was about possession. My father was sick. His kidneys were failing. He needed a new kidney to live. Evan, with his family's wealth and connections, had stepped in. He paid for the best doctors, the private tests, people who could move my father up the list. He said he would take care of everything. I was so grateful then, so blind to what he was doing. When I found the courage to talk about leaving, he dropped the act. My father would not get the transplant if I left. He could stop the doctors with a single phone call. He would only continue to help if I stayed married, if I played the part of his devoted wife. My freedom for my father's life. I felt trapped, caught in a web he made. He used my love for my father like a rope around my neck. I could not watch my father die so I could be free. I was no longer his wife. I was his hostage. He held the key to my father's future in his hand and dangled it just out of my reach. I stayed, but a part of me died that day. I had to find a way out. I found a job at Park Pharma, a pharmaceutical research company. I thought if I had my own money, my own independence, I might find a crack in the wall Evan had built around me. Work could be my escape. The company was owned by Damon Park. I did not want to see him again. I pushed down my fear and went to the interview anyway. I ran into Lucia, a ghost from a past I had tried to bury. She had bullied me mercilessly in high school. She smiled bright and false, pretending we were friends, then tried to break me during the group interview, hinting at my troubled marriage. Despite her efforts, I got the job. Damon must have intervened. My first weeks were a fragile piece. I focused on precise measurements, careful observations. It was a relief to have something to control. Then someone swapped the chemicals. I was working on a sensitive compound. The wrong reagent would be volatile. I measured everything perfectly, following the protocol, completely unaware of the sabotage. The mixture began to bubble violently, the color changing from clear to a sickly, angry green. My experiment exploded. A deafening bang, a shower of hot liquid, shattered glass. Alarms blared. In the split second before the blast hit me, Damon was there. He didn't hesitate. He jumped in front of me, shielding my body with his own. He took the brunt to his back and arm. He saved me that day, putting himself between me and the danger. The scent of burnt chemicals filled the air, and all I could hear was my own frantic heartbeat. The simple words were more comforting than any grand gesture. He was not a man who made idle promises. He acted on his promise to keep me safe. He launched an investigation. Within a day, he had fired Lucia and the lab tech she paid. He found proof they conspired to hurt me. He dug into Evan's life. There was a pattern. Years of cheating. Not just Candace. Texts, emails, hotel receipts. A mountain of evidence of my husband's betrayals. Evan felt control slipping and grew dangerous. He watched my every move, followed me to work, put hidden cameras in our house. He locked me in our bedroom when I said I was staying with my mother. He said I was being dramatic, that people like me never really leave. I jumped from the second-story window to escape. I landed awkwardly, twisting my ankle, but I ran. Days later, my mother called, weeping. The perfect kidney had been found, then given to someone else. Evan called to say he'd tested my loyalty. I had failed. He gave it to Candace's father. My father was slipping. My hope was gone. Candace, Lucia. They lured me to an abandoned warehouse with a fake text. Your father is worse. They were waiting. A single bare bulb. They tied me to a chair. They said they would burn my face with acid. I tasted the metallic tang of fear. Lucia held a small bottle, eyes glittering with madness. Suddenly the door crashed open. Damon burst in, fast, furious. He disarmed Lucia and shoved her away. Then Evan arrived, not to save me, but but to take credit. The two men faced off, fists flying. They fought over me like I was a prize. Damon hit Evan so hard he crumpled and didn't look back. He cut my ropes, pulled me into his arms, whispered that I was safe. Surrounded by wreckage, I felt safety for the first time in years. He wasn't claiming me. He was shielding me. Damon never demanded I be quiet or grateful. He simply opened doors and let me choose. He paid my mounting legal and medical bills without mentioning it. He laid out terms to Evan. Sign the divorce, no contest, no conditions, or the file goes to family and press.